Are you ready to have your mind absolutely blown by how the national media is treating this offense? ESPN analyst Bill Barnwell just dropped his definitive 2026 NFL Skill Talent Group rankings, and where he placed this squad is causing a massive civil war in the football community. We are talking about an elite, hyperpotent young core featuring absolute superstars like Colston Loveland, Luther Burden III, and Rome Oduns being completely disrespected on the national stage. If you want to stay ahead of every single breaking update and unfiltered tactical breakdown this season, make sure to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel right now. Let's face it, when you think about the most explosive, terrifying offenses heading into the 2026 season, how on earth can you look at this young juggernaut and not see a top 10 unit? If this list took a long-term view instead of strictly focusing on this upcoming season, there is no doubt we would be talking about a top 3 group across the entire league. Think about it. The primary weapons in this passing game are literally in year 2 and year 3 of their professional careers, meaning the ceiling is high enough to reach the stratosphere. But Barnwell's criteria are strict, focusing entirely on 2026 production, heavily factoring in injury histories, putting significantly more weight on wide receivers than tight ends or running backs, and only evaluating the top 5 projected contributors for every single roster. To give you the full picture of where everyone stands, let's look at how he laid out the entire league from top to bottom. At the absolute pinnacle, he has the Detroit Lions at number 1, followed by the Los Angeles Rams at 2, the Cincinnati Bengals at 3, the Atlanta Falcons at 4, and the San Francisco 49ers rounding out the top 5. Moving down, the Arizona Cardinals land at 6, the Dallas Cowboys at 7, the Minnesota Vikings at 8, the Philadelphia Eagles at 9, and the New England Patriots shockingly sneaking into the top 10. For the next tier, we have the Seattle Seahawks at 11, the New York Jets at 12, the New Orleans Saints at 13, the Indianapolis Colts at 14, and then, right there in the exact middle of the pack, our team is sitting at number 15. Just outside of us are the Baltimore Ravens at 16, the Green Bay Packers at 17, the Jacksonville Jaguars at 18, the Los Angeles Chargers at 19, and the Kansas City Chiefs down at 20. The bottom tier includes the Pittsburgh Steelers at 21, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 22, the Denver Broncos at 23, the Houston Texans at 24, the Tennessee Titans at 25, the Las Vegas Raiders at 26, the Washington Commanders at 27, and the Carolina Panthers at 28. Bringing up the absolute rear are the Buffalo Bills at 29, the Cleveland Browns at 30, the New York Giants at 31, and the Miami Dolphins dead last at 32. Sitting right at number 15 feels like a blatant understatement, but it is somewhat understandable when you remember that national analysts are inherently terrified of relying on young players who still have to answer minor developmental questions. But let's look at the actual tape, because by the time January rolls around, this group has the undeniable potential to force its way into the top 5. Even Barnwell himself couldn't help but admit that the kids are completely alright. Look at what happened during the second half of last season when tight end Colston Loveland absolutely caught fire. After a relatively quiet first 2 months of the year, Loveland went on a tear from November 1st onward that put the entire league on notice. He racked up 597 receiving yards over that stretch, ranking second among all NFL tight ends, while averaging an incredibly efficient 2.4 yards per route run. Then came the ultimate statement performance in the wildcard round against the Green Bay Packers, where he erupted for a monstrous 137 yards to fuel a massive playoff victory. There is a very real, statistical chance that Loveland leads the entire NFL in tight end receiving yards this year. Now, it is time for our controversial question of the day, and I want every single one of you to drop everything and comment below right now. With elite talents like Trey McBride, Brock Bowers, and an aging George Kittle out there, where does Colston Loveland truly rank right now, and would you honestly trade him for any other tight end in football? Personally, I am not betting against this kid becoming a top 5 lock by midseason, if not the single best tight end in the entire sport. Last year, despite a slow start, he still hauled in 58 receptions for over 700 yards and 6 touchdowns, proving he is an elite blocker and a matchup nightmare. And he isn't the only sophomore weapon ready to destroy defensive game plans. Look at wide receiver Luther Burden III, who mirrored Loveland's explosive late-season trajectory perfectly. From November 1st onward, Burden averaged a staggering 2.9 yards per route run, which ranked fourth among all wide receivers in the NFL. When Rome Odunze unfortunately went down with an injury, it opened up a massive role for Burden, and he responded like an absolute alpha, including a spectacular 8-catch, 138-yard touchdown performance on Monday Night Football against the San Francisco 49ers. He was unequivocally the best player on the field that night. When you add the physical, between the tackles running style of Kyle Manengai to the mix, you see just how much elite production this offense extracted from its rookie playmakers last year. Manengai proved he is a rock-solid, highly dependable back who showed massive growth in pass protection and catching the ball out of the backfield down the stretch. Of course, a massive amount of credit for this structural success belongs to offensive architect Ben Johnson, the brilliant development of quarterback Caleb Williams, and a heavily improved offensive line. It wasn't a completely flawless year, as Odunze's injury halted the massive second-year leap everyone wanted to see, and veteran superstar DJ Moore took a step backward in production before being traded away to the Buffalo Bills. Trying to replace a talent like DJ Moore by committee with guys like Kai F. Raymond, Al Structure, and third-round draft pick Zavon Thomas is naturally going to look like a step backward on paper. But here is why you shouldn't panic about losing DJ Moore's targets. The sheer efficiency and explosiveness we saw from Luther Burden, Rome Odunze, and Colston Loveland means those 85 vacated targets are going to be completely swallowed up by a young trio that is hungrier and more dynamic. Caleb Williams was forcing the ball to Odunze early in the year when he was healthy, and the coaching staff clearly moved on from Moore because they knew these young players had earned the absolute trust of Ben Johnson. The ground game is also poised to be incredibly stable. While DeAndre Swift had a career year, much of that was driven by Johnson's masterful scheme and elite blocking up front rather than Swift suddenly turning into a top-5 running back. Swift looked far more decisive last year, and pairing him with Manengai gives this offense a devastating 1-2 punch where both guys easily rank as top 25 backs in the league. Ultimately, this entire skilled position group is pointing directly up. The players have a full year of experience in this complex offensive system. Caleb Williams is completely locked in, and the sheer individual upside here is terrifying for opposing defensive coordinators. This offense has every single tool necessary to become a dominant force in 2026. Thank you so much for sticking around until the very end of the video. It shows you are a true fan. Bear down.